All right. Hello and welcome to Charlie McGrath's Wide Awake News. It is September 18th, Wednesday, and time for Karen's Corner. I want to thank all of you who participated in our United We Strike marathon, either by listening, by sharing links, by promoting it, and also those of you who pulled yourselves and your money out so that you could resist this tyranny that is all based on company script with us paying for the atrocities. Murder is immoral, and until that becomes more of the focus, I believe we are missing a huge part of what is critical in stepping into a higher consciousness. And speaking of a higher consciousness, I am looking forward very much to my guest today, who is Sonia Barrett. She is an author, a researcher, a producer, and a speaker. She is going to join us today talking about what is reality? You know, what are the belief systems we hold which have formed our world? What is it we're not seeing? How do we bridge the gap between our spirituality and science? And how do we step into being more fully accountable for our lives and our bodies, which we will also cover with The Business of Disease, one of her new films that she's currently working on. So Sonia Barrett, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me clearly.
I can.
Okay,
I'd
great.
like people to know your website is spiritinform.com, thebusinessofdisease.com, and also youtube.com, user Sovereign Mind Radio, because you also have been instrumental in getting a radio program up. So would you please tell us how you woke up, Sonia? How did you arrive to be here, helping others to actually wake up to what reality actually is?
Well, in my case, it's one of those things where I think I kind of came on the planet with questions. Not everybody seems to come with a lot of questions, even though we'd like to think that. But I think some people do come with a certain curiosity, and that was certainly my case. However, you know, life triggers you. Life forces you into situations, uncomfortable conditions, and that was my case. And it really stirred me back in, I would say, 92, even though I'd been sort of at this for a while, but 92 very strongly after a divorce, I really started to ask questions about my life and in what I had experienced and what I had lived, you know, for the last 14 years. And I think that for me, it just had to begin there. And I think for everybody, basically, to begin with yourself. And so often, you know, we are looking outside of ourselves, so I won't jump ahead, but for me, that's really where it began. I started questioning my own life, and of course, in doing that, it led me into obviously observing more of the external reality, external world. You know, my husband was of an abusive personality. And that is a little bit reflective of a lot of what we see today. Abuse in different ways might not be your spouse. It might not be, you know, somebody that you know directly, but, it's a bit of an abusive, reality in various ways by the system, by, so many forces around us. And, for me, waking up to what I had gone through, seeing more behind the veil, went through a real spiritual experience, for lack of a better word, that sort of really awakened me to realize that there was more behind the scenes, so much more behind the veil. And what I was seeing was really just the stage in terms of life and everybody going about their business in sort of a sleep state. And then, you know, after getting deeper into that kind of realization, I started to get into things like science, which I wasn't familiar with, quantum physics or any of that. These things just sort of started showing themselves to me. And I kind of went from there. And just started digging in, the more I was starting to understand is the more I realized how much I didn't know and didn't understand. And so it was definitely the rabbit hole at that point. Just right now, just continuing to see how deep the rabbit hole goes in discovering. And I think it's that kind of discovering, that kind of waking up that really begins that journey to freedom. I also realized that we don't really know what freedom is, and much of that and the idea of what freedom is has certainly been designed, written for us, defined for us, and waking up to that realization that even the idea of freedom is some construct created by somebody else. So we're not even really clear on what that means anymore either. And so that's what I discovered for myself. It's this inward, the science of the inward then, and how that really impacts what appears to be outward.
So where did your quest lead you in terms of when you started looking at science? What is it that you now believe that you didn't previously believe?
Well, I mean, I came from a, traditional church background, in terms of praying and, the idea of God and so on. It basically just led me to, I would say, a deeper place of looking at the fact that everything was based on some sort of scientific value formula, but it wasn't really based on maybe our mundane idea of science, or let's say the science that we understand then, okay, on the planet, that level of the science, that it was so much bigger, that was indeed a cosmic science that allowed us to see reality the way that we do. What was real and what wasn't, what did that mean, the definition of real and not real, and recognizing more as I went along about the observer effect and how we are actually impacting what the world looks like for us, or what reality in general looks like for us. So that was very major.
Will you get into that a little bit? What have you learned that is real in terms of also our consciousness and our impact upon the world around us?
Well, in my book, I spoke about the word real and the fact that the word real, realm, reality, that they were really all offshoots of each other. They're sort of basically the same word. Real, I define as realm of focus. In my book, that's how I defined it. And of course, even then when I was writing it, my understanding of quantum physics probably was not even maybe as strong as it became. My understanding became much stronger as time went on. But even then, these are things that I just knew. Well, of course, science supports that it is the observer. But at the time, I didn't really write it that way. What I realized was real is realm of focus. What does that mean? It means that whatever we put our focus to, because energetically, that's how everything is existing. Everything is a frequency pattern. Everything is some sort of frequency. It has to have some sort of energetic structure to it. And we are interacting with that energetic structure, that form, that concept, and we are stabilizing what may appear before us to be real, or what we consider to be real. It's our observation and our interaction and our the emotional value that we might put into the observation, our perception, our belief, the belief behind it. All of those things sort of shape or create a structure for us of what we define as the world around us. And that we then see as real. And, so then I go into realm of focus, so it's our realm of focus. Well, what do I mean by that? Realm is going to be, for a simpler term, you can think of realm as a particular area, a particular location. We're looking at a chair. Well, I'm observing that chair. I'm observing that chair. I expect that chair to be there. I'm observing it into being the chair. There's an agreement that that frequency is going to represent a chair on a collective level. So that is the realm that I'm dealing in. I'm dealing in the third dimensional realm. I'm dealing in the physical realm. That's where my focus is, and therefore, all these particles, these subatomic particles, they come together, and here it is. We have the chair or the desk or the table or the book or whatever it is we see around us. The other part of that I thought was so fascinating is understanding more about the fact that we really see it with our brains and not really with our eyes. The fact that our eyes are acting really as a lens. These light frequencies are really being picked up and translated back through the optic nerves, through the eyes, through the lens of the eyes, and there we have this image. 5 senses. Now you have touch, and you have smell, and you have all of these other frequencies at work that give us the idea or the feeling of a solid world. Not only is it the idea of a solid world to us, there was something else I wanted to tell you around that, and it kind of slipped my mind for a second, but it'll come back. But the whole idea of interacting with this solid world, this is what I wanted to say. We then think that everything is static. We really get a sense that nothing is moving. Everything seems very stable, non-moving. And science, of course, is showing us, has proven that everything it's all fluid. There's nothing that is really static without movement. Everything is in constant motion. So, those few pieces, those few realizations can make all the difference in the world in terms of what we begin to understand about reality and how we are interacting with it and how we can observe everything into being. Now, for anybody who's listening to this and, you're looking on at the things that are going on in the world and so on, we have to understand, we'll speak about mind control and we speak about these things. I'm not saying I'm speaking about that today, but I'm saying in general, we speak about all these things, but we have to keep remembering that the very things that I'm speaking about are the very things that those who run the system on a much bigger level have a clear understanding of, a clear enough understanding, I should say, not the full, complete understanding, because nobody really does, but enough of an understanding to be able to study that kind of science and to be able to regulate, manipulate what we will view as a reality, what we will believe in, what we won't believe in. So much of it is designed for us. So much of our world is really designed for us in terms of what we are going to accept as a possibility for ourselves as individuals and as a collective. So I think that though all of what I'm saying becomes really important, and it's not airy fairy stuff. It's not up in the air stuff, because if you think that way, guess what? You are so ripe for manipulation. At this point, when somebody says, I can't believe in all of that, I tell you what, you are right in the front of the line to be manipulated, because this is all science. These people operate on that level and have for a very long time, hence secret societies.
And the transhumanism that they're moving us into, care of, Kurzweil and some other people who are experimenting on us daily without our knowledge or consent. But to get back to the observer effect is basically I've heard about that also in water. And I think it is a French study where they had the same container of water in the center of the room, and they had like 4 individuals go over and take a drop of water from that and go back to their slides. And when they froze it and looked at it, each one of those was different. However, it came from the same exact source. And so it's my understanding that is the observer effect, when whatever it is that is our essence puts an individual twist and focus on our world that is uniquely our own.
Absolutely. That's why we have our own private reality, which we tend to forget. We have our own private, unique universe that we each operate in. Even though we are operating on a collective level, we each have our own unique version of what reality is. That's something that we definitely are not taught. We don't understand that. Most people obviously don't even think that. You just think that it's just all the collective. We're all seeing the same thing. Not necessarily. These are all frequency patterns. I can't really say that we are seeing the shade red the same way. There's a lot of things, and even in to speaking, we see that a great many times with when somebody's talking. You might be talking to somebody else, and they come up with a completely different interpretation of what you said. Now that starts a lot of wars, and you're thinking the person is just being a what. But it's all frequency. I mean, the words coming out of your mouth, this person is probably picking up a completely different frequency, completely different interpretation of everything you just said. Maybe some of the content came through, and then it's overshadowed by something else. So there is a lot that is going on in terms of what reality is, or what we think it is. And the fact that we are so certain and so final in our analysis about what we think reality is, or what we think creation is a huge setup. Because again, that makes you ripe for manipulation. It really makes you ripe for that, because you're not able to open your perception enough and to realize, honestly, you can't really cage this thing. You cannot really say, you can if you want to, but I would say that's an illusion. It's something that it makes you feel comfortable, to restrict creation, or to restrict the idea of reality to one concept, or to one view. It is really a great limitation, and we do that because we want to be comfortable. Why do we want to be comfortable? Because we want to feel in control. And so it's easier to try to box this whole idea of creation into a box, because then we are comfortable and we feel a bit more in control. And then you roll right into religion, because then religion creates, again, these structures, these organized concept that has boundaries to it. There's so many boundaries to it, and you can only believe and operate within the boundaries of that idea. Now, then you have to stop and question that, because you're missing out on a lot of possibilities, and because of how the human beings are designed, and how our brain is designed, and how we are designed in terms of transmitting and receiving information. What we do at that point, when we limit ourselves in that way, the brain basically filters. It always filters. It filters what we will see, what we will experience based on the latitude of our perception. So it filters, and this is all scientific too. It filters what we will experience, and according to what we can accept as a possibility. So that really closes us off. And you see, that's the reason why some people have an ability to see more, experience things that are probably more so outside of our spectrum, or what we would define as our normal, or a spectrum of reality. Some people may see a little bit more outside of that, because they don't, somehow they don't have the same kind of boundary or limitation with what is possible. So this is very major stuff. When you're in a box, it will choke you.
Well, we have been so successfully taught to obey. We have been trained out of our morality. And I know that for myself, nothing is more important than stopping the murder of innocence. And it happens every day, and there is blood on my hands. I am unfortunately well aware of that fact. Every time I go to sleep at night, I have my own form of Ho'oponopono, where I'm sorry to any and all individuals that have been tortured or murdered today in my name. You know, forgive me for that collective ignorance. Thank you for knowing that I'm trying to get people to withdraw their support. And I love you because you are me. It's not just some nameless, faceless, numberless, blown up body part on another part of the world. And I think that we really have to start coming to terms with what we enable through what we've been taught to view as reality. We'll be right back. I'm hearing the break music now. If you would like to ask a question, the number is 877-342-6673. And Buddy, we'll talk about the pineal gland on the other side. Thanks for tuning in today.
Heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you fat, ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear. Live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself. Then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BIOAGE.com. BioAge.com, or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Dr. Joe Schneller.
The efficacy that we're looking for, that we're going to prove, is that carnivora wakes up this immune system and makes it dominant.
Pastor Lindsey Williams.
I'm 77 years of age. I feel better than I did when I was in my 50s and 60s. I was so sick, I thought I was going to die. It relates to a product that you handle right here. Folks, you positively must, after this show, you've got to click on Carnivora. They must have it in their medicine cabinet.
That's CARNIVORA.com. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY. That's 866-VENUS-FLY. 1-866-836-8735. That's 1-866-836-8735. Or visit CARNIVORA.com. That's carnivora.com and order now.
All right, it's Karen knocking on your door with my guest Sonia Barrett from spiritinformed.com. And as we're talking about the nature of reality, one of the things that enables us to really see the truer nature of reality is our pineal gland. And I've had a question from the chat room, and Buddy asking if you will address how to have a healthy one, what it's about, and tips as far as understanding what it is there for.
Well, that's a very good question. and the reason why I'm saying that's a good question, if you're familiar with my work, it is a little bit different. It's definitely gotten more unique over the years. What I have found is this. I don't focus on any one particular thing or piece anymore. Not like that. And the reason why I say that is because we have lived, everything about this reality is about fracturization. Everything is separatism, in the sense of, fragmenting, ourselves. Like, we fix this thing. It's the same thing with, with Western medicine. You fix this thing over here. Got a, headache. Well, I'm just going to address this, or I'm going to address my leg. And the pineal gland, pituitary gland, that whole structure, the biggest thing that we can do, and I'm not going to tell you eat raw foods or any of that. That's all great too. I'm going to tell you, and take this or you can leave it, but I'm telling you, the greatest way to strengthen and to expand that part of the brain is to open one's mind, to stretch your perception, to make a committed effort to be open and unrestricted in terms of what you think is possible, because everything is possible. When we do that, just the same as you hear, as science is saying, even on a basic level, that when we learn new things, what it does to the brain, how it activates hormones, different hormones in the brain. Of course, they say that for seniors. They notice that even in seniors, when they learn something new, it actually gives them an opportunity for longevity. They live even longer. So my point is this: what you want to do is to focus more on where you are in terms of what your belief system is at this time. What are my restrictions? How in a box do I live? What latitude do I give to my life? Because that is what the brain is seeking. The brain is seeking to find out if we are going to operate in the same old, the same box, in the same routine way that we operate all the time. Or are we going to do something different? Are we going to go left instead of going right, which we've gone, right, the same street every day for 25 years? You get stuck in a routine, and we have to create new neural pathways. And how do you do that? You do that by always adding something new, by altering a habit, by stretching it. Well, that is how you activate all those areas in the brain that need to be tuned up, stepped up. You need the hormone to be certain hormones to be increased and flowing again. Yes, I know with the pineal gland, there are hormones that are shut off. They're said to be shut off after a certain time. And a big part of that is because we get into adult mode, and we get into habitual mode, and we get stuck there. And so then we end up with calcification. You heard people say the pineal gland begins to calcify after a certain age. Well, because we're stuck in routines. We're stuck in routines and in survival mode. And it's just the same pattern repeating over and over and over again. Well, what is there? What does the brain say? Well, it's clear that this human being, this body, this being is not planning on learning anything any newer, too much newer than the same routine that we have been doing for a long time. So that's actually how we begin to shut down. When that part of the brain and all of those components in the brain begin to shut down, or when we start to age, and so on, is because those parts of the brain, yes, they begin to shut down, and because there's nothing new really coming in, and so the hormones that are needed for longevity, and all of those things to keep you going, to keep you healthy, they begin to shut down, and your body starts preparing to check out of here. And so there's a lot that's being discovered now around that area, and the fact that human beings are living longer. I think that is such an important part that we need to incorporate, because if we're saying, okay, well, how do we activate our pineal gland and our pituitary gland and the hippocampus, hypothalamus, how do we keep all of that going? Well, then you have to ask yourself, well, what is your reason for it? What is your reason for it? Because if you are still buying into, as advertised all the time, if you're between the ages of 50 and 85, if you are buying into what we've been sold about longevity and how long you can live, then you have to stop and ask yourself that question. You want to be activated for another, well, some people say 10 years. I got another 20 years left. You have to, all of that, in my work, all of that stuff gets thrown out. It gets thrown out because all of that is a program. Now, I used to say that several years back, but the beautiful thing is science is now coming along and backing me up on that stuff. They are starting to really say that this stuff is programmed. Much of what we think about life is programming. And being here long enough to make some sort of impact and to go through your own transition, changes, growth, so on. Human beings don't live long enough. They don't live that long. And so we have to begin to look at the full spectrum. This is not a one little situation. Yeah, we're talking about the war, we're talking about all that's going on, but I got to tell you, this picture is way bigger. It is way beyond even what you think you see going on here. We can get into a whole lot of other things, but honestly, my sense is that everything we're dealing with started probably long before we got here on this planet. So there's a whole lot more going on here. And that's the reason why I emphasize that the work truly has to begin with the individual. Because what you think you see on the news and what you're told is just a minuscule version of human life, human potential, human possibilities, and the survival program is the biggest one. That's why we're fed so much of the news. We're fed information that you're like, well, why did I even need to know that? That's why they make the news so exciting. We're the first to bring you, CNN was the first to bring you breaking news, 9/11. It's like a big entertainment. It's like a big show. And we think that we're being committed, we're trying to make sure we find out what's going on. But much of that information is so distorted that we have to tune ourselves up to be able to get on that bandwidth, the right bandwidth, to pick up the right kind of information, to tune in before. I wouldn't even say just before, but to tune in so that you can really discern what really is and what really isn't. And I always like to bring up that consciousness global network, because I was fascinated when I discovered that consciousness global network that comes out of Princeton University, that study where it's been going on since I think the 80s, where they are able to graph and study the consciousness on a collective level before catastrophes happen and after they happen, and see that there is a collective result from that. And we can talk about that for another couple minutes, I guess, after your break.
All right. Thanks for hearing that. I want to encourage listeners also, get your water. We're going to have a meditation to play on the way out. If we can heal our water, we'll make better decisions no matter who we are. And also stay away from fluoride, because it definitely is instrumental in calcifying that pineal gland. We'll be right back with my guest, Sonia Barrett, Matthew's messages. Call in numbers 877-342-6667. Thanks, Brett.
And I'm here to tell you, I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at SeedsNow.com.
Is what you are currently doing to relieve your pain working for you? Do you have chronic pain in your knees, your elbows, your joints, your back, your muscles? Have you tried going to the doctors and the naturopathic doctors, the back cracks, the motions, the potions, the lotions, and nothing seems to really last? There's a new product called a placebo enhancer. Now, don't laugh. The name is to avoid tyranny from the drug cartels that want to keep everybody on a leash. This product is advanced science. It's cutting edge. It's quantum physics-based, energy-infused liquid suspension with a transdermal magnesium applicant. You spray a couple sprays on where it hurts, and that's all you have to do, and within 20 minutes it's in every one of your cells. Go to painsucks.info and get the information. That's painsucks.info. Again, you can get a free trial bottle. Just pay shipping and handling at painsucks.info. Your pain isn't going to go away on its own, so get your trial bottle immediately. Painsucks.info.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question from my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Make a promise, take a vow. Trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel it.
All right, I'm back with my guest, Sonia Barrett. We've been talking about the nature of reality and what we think we know. It could be the furthest thing actually from the truth when you actually understand that we're energy and we are moving atoms, we're consciousness, and we affect our reality simply by focusing our attention. Sonia, we don't have a whole lot of time here. I'm really enjoying our conversation, but an hour goes very quickly. So I want to toss the ball back over to you if you'd like to make some more points before we wrap.
No, I was just finishing up on what I'd mentioned about that Consciousness Global Research Project, because I think it was one of the more confirming things that they're recognizing there's some sort of morphogenic field, something that connects the consciousness of all human beings on a collective level. And they saw that there was a definite rise in brain activity prior to, in, I think 9/11 and some of these other incidents, prior to that and, after that. So it's like we are picking it up because we are like, we're like radios. We're picking up the frequency of things before they even happen, on a collective level and on an individual level. So bottom line of it is we've got to start learning to tune in, and not just tuning outward, because that is the game, is to get everybody to keep tuning outside of themselves. Because if you tune in, the fear is you may discover something and you may wake up to the game. Game over if everybody does that. So,
I'm really hoping for that, Sonia, because to me, while we can talk about higher consciousness and we can talk about all these things that we're learning, we still are overlooking the fact that murder is immoral, and in my opinion, postponing holding those accountable who are murdering innocent people is also out of alignment with this higher consciousness that we supposedly are moving into. I mean, when I listen to other scientists and people telling me that we are going through a different part of the universe, we're being exposed to now maybe the fifth dimension, and I tell you, I would really love to see that, because unfortunately what I see, even with my heart-centered thinking, is that every day more of us are taken down individually, and we can sit and have polite conversation about the fact that the president of the not-so-United States corporation can order the deaths of 50 innocent people just because he wants one suspect taken out with a drone. And I am highly, highly incensed at all of this, and the fact that any of us would just consider living our lives as usual and thinking that this will end is also very, very difficult for me to deal with.
Well, again, that's one of the things that it's a very touchy subject, and I don't even want to touch it if, because we don't even have time to get into all of that. But I hear where you're coming from, but I also know that there's other pieces to it, and I understand, and I don't want to short what I'm saying either, because I don't want people to misinterpret anything that I'm saying. But there is no way that we can even embrace or understand any of this unless there is the metaphysical edge brought in. And I don't mean on a foo-foo level, because if anybody knows my work, I don't deal on that level at all. But the truth of it is, we cannot forget that we come into these bodies. These are bodies. These are vehicles. And we come in with our own unique journey. There is something unique about everybody's journey here. And there's a reason why you don't live in Syria at this time. You don't live in a war-torn area. I don't, but there are other people that do. There's so many things that we each have gotten exposed to in our lives for various reasons. That is our journey. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't respond and put our foot down, but we can only do that when that change still begins in us. Because we can talk all day about everybody getting together and doing something. But if it doesn't start in the individual, by even little things like when you go to the airport with TSA, little things that they're telling you to do, that you find that, wait a second, when did this become a law? It can be on the slightest level, because if we say nothing, it becomes law, even if it's not written. So it just depends on what that person's situation is comfortable with, what they interact with. That's how everybody can start to free themselves and those people. But at the same time, those people are still beings that got here on the planet, and there is something else that is going on in terms of the war and in terms of the things that, say, the president and then these people in control are able to do. We've got to learn to supersede a lot of this stuff with frequency, with some sort of science, because that sure as hell is what they're using. That is whether we want to see it that way or not, that's what they're using. And we can talk all day about what they're doing, but if we are not in a position to be strong enough to do anything, guess what? You're going to get taken out by sound waves or whatever other technology there is. So we must understand the technology of this body in order to even withstand much of this insanity. So this becomes important. Otherwise, what are you going to do? You get out there, you get shot, you get all this stuff happen because you're in a completely different frequency that is relevant to the frequency of war. So there are other factors involved.
We need to break the momentum, and it's why I keep offering one day a month for us to even just unite so that we can stop being pushed over the cliff and recognize that regardless of how we got here, there are those of us who are being murdered and tortured every day. And we need, in my opinion, to rise to the occasion of being able to look in the mirror and say, no, we don't have to go about it with the same anger. We don't have to go about it with the same debauchery. But I think that, Congress with a 9% approval rating or Obama, we've got to stop looking for leaders outside of ourselves, start looking within, and then, in my opinion, have collective action. And so that's why I keep proposing the 15th, at least for one day, to get on the same page in some kind of peaceful resistance as we learn and understand that when it happens to one of us, it happens to all of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure if we're done. So.
Well, we are. Actually, you are from Sovereign. We've got Sovereign Mind Radio. And
no, let me change that. Let me make sure that's changed. No, it used to be called Sovereign Mind Radio, and it was changed to Inner Bridge Radio. So it's now Inner Bridge Radio, and the main website is spiritinform.com. It's a site that's been there over 10 years. spiritinform.com, and it has you can access Inner Bridge Radio, and you can also access Reality Bridge magazine. You're able to view it for free. If you want to order a print, you will be able to do so. But yeah, it's spiritinform.com, and that would lead you to all my work, lots of lectures and workshops and so on that I've done. It's all in the store and online, lots of free articles. And thebusinessofdisease.com is the documentary website. So it's thebusinessofdisease.com. You can view the trailer there as well. And you can also get a t-shirt if you want that says The Business of Disease. The cure is in the body, not in the business.
Right, there you go. Because another way that we've been trained to totally hand over our power over our own bodies to other people who barely have the time to spend maybe 10 minutes with us after waiting in their office and going through the hoops. But we are at the point in the program to where it is time to get your water. Sonia, are you familiar with Dr. Emoto's great work on water having memory?
Yes, I am.
All right. So in seeking everything that I can do to try and find ways to unite people, I believe that if we can consciously understand that water has memory and we begin to bless our own, if we can become temples of our own holy water, then whoever we are will make better decisions about our lives. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Well, then, this is the part of the program where I encourage the listeners to have that glass of water, to know that there is more to us than we've been lied to believe. I want to thank you very much, Sonia Barrett. I will look forward to having you back on the program because I think we've got tons of issues we can talk about. But for now, and I agree with Buddy in there, yeah, become the hero you are looking for. It is really up to us. Brett, will you please play, this is another piece from Duder, who does wonderful work. And bless you. Understand.
oldest therapy and plays an essential role in destroying viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, and fungus, and keeping the human body healthy and strong. Now, you can give your body and your immune system a mega boost of disease-fighting oxygen with all-natural Oxy-C. With so many people now leading a sedentary indoor lifestyle, most are in a chronic state of oxygen deprivation, which sets up a perfect environment for disease, general fatigue, and a host of other symptoms. Oxy-C is yours in simple, convenient capsules. Nothing to mix, nothing to hassle with. Take it with juice or water anytime. Feel a cold or flu approaching? Have no energy or spark anymore? Try all-natural Oxy-C and prepare to be amazed. Oxy-C is only available from New Earth Health Solutions at Rinse.com. Look for the New Earth banner at Rinse.com.
In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
The Rinse Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at Rinse.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington.